We see it in their so-called gay marriage. We see it in the gender blurring that the world is promoting. You don't have to be a man or a woman, they say. You can be whatever you feel like or choose to be. Really? But Satan's world now says that marriage can be between two men or two women. Again, really? There are many genders existing on a spectrum from male to female. It added that gender identity exists on a continuum, and that sex is not limited to male or female. Again, really?
Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally and today we are looking at the annual meeting. Now you might be asking yourself, well, didn't you already cover the entirety of the annual meeting? And I would have said a definitive yes. But I got a phone call today and someone said maybe you should look at what they released on jw.org because it might not be exactly consistent with what happened during when they live streamed the annual meeting. So we are all going to collectively play a little game. So I need you to put on your cool English caps, maybe get your little pipe out because you are Sherlock Holmes and we are going to play Spot the Difference. So let's see how you guys do.
Now let's listen to our brother Mark Sanderson as he speaks to us on the subject, Share It with the Generation to Come. Brother Sanderson.
At Matthew 13.
Another one.
I'm sure we can hardly wait to go through that new visitor center. I know I can hardly wait. Now we're going to enjoy two talks on very encouraging themes. The first is by Brother Kenneth Cook. His subject, the earth that will endure forever. Brother Cook, please.
In the Revelation,
So normally when they edit the annual meeting, they take stuff out. But this time they're putting stuff in? Oh boy. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't actually watched this talk yet because a little bit pressed for time and wanted to do a video on it. So my reactions are going to be live and in action, so I guess we'll see how that goes. But I do have one just sort of goofy, kooky little theory about why they are adding this talk in later. And that might have to do with how Jehovah's Witnesses are aware of what apostates, those that speak up against Watchtower, what they do whenever they come out with their annual meeting. Literally the day after it's streamed, I made a video, or one of like 6 videos or 4 videos about it. And Watchtower is well aware that that happens. So if you were trying to say something that was terrible, that was horrible, that was ridiculous, that would no doubt get the attention of a lot of apostates, a good strategy would be to add it in later. Because you know what happened when I saw that they released the annual meeting? I didn't care. It was a couple days ago. I didn't bother to watch it. I was like, oh, that's old news, whatever. Why in God's green earth would I watch the annual meeting twice? I'm a little bit crazy, but I'm not that kooky. But someone that was a little bit kookier than me did actually watch it twice, and they noticed this addition and gave me a call and let me know about that. So thank you very much for making me aware of this. But I have to say, could this be a case of them saying something that's ridiculous and not wanting it to get as much coverage because they know someone that makes videos about it won't be bothered to actually look at the annual meeting that they release on jw.org because I simply won't care.
I'm kind of psychic. I have a fifth sense. It's like I have ESPN or something.
This verse assures us that Jehovah is going to stop the ruining of the earth. But is it only man's pollution of the earth and the misuse of its resources that is being spoken of here? Or is there more to it? To answer those questions, here are 4 main points that we will consider. So to start, what is meant by earth? To answer that question, we'll look at the planet and the people. Why do we include the people? Because earth, like some other expressions in God's word, has more than one basic meaning. First, let's look at the planet. Unlike the planets that have been named after false gods, Genesis chapter 1 tells us that Jehovah named this planet Earth. As for the false labeling of the other planets, we can be certain that those disgusting names will soon be gone.
Now, I need everyone to keep in mind that this person is viewed as the spiritual leader, someone that the Almighty of the universe is utilizing to teach and inform and instruct his true followers. This guy. What is he seriously suggesting here? God named Earth. I mean, he named the other planets, but he just didn't tell anybody. And boo-hoo, I'm so mad because now they have all these false labels. What are you? These false labels. If God was that interested or that annoyed at it, why in the Genesis account didn't he name all of those other ones? Oh boy howdy, I wonder whatever that could be. Maybe it's because God didn't actually name any of these things. He's so ridiculous when he says this. He just looks dumb. No understanding. I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm assuming that we get earth from like the Latin word terra, like ground I walk on or something like that. Maybe there's like an older Anglo-Saxon. I don't know exactly where we get it from, but it's probably something like that. But the idea that he's like, these false labels, well then why didn't God just give it a name like everyone else? No, back then, all those millions of years ago, God used the English word earth. You heard it here first. I can see why they didn't want this maybe in the first run, because they really had to squeak it in at the last second so no one would notice how much of an idiot this guy is.
That brings us to the people, those for whom the earth was made. You can hardly mention one without the other, right? For instance, many scriptures refer to people when speaking of the earth. Here are some examples.
Nope.
Now let's consider the question, to what ruining does Revelation 11:18 refer? To the planet, the people, or both? First, the planet. Jehovah hates to see the earth being ruined today as it is, and we can be certain that he hates the pollution, the damage to the earth's climate, the misuse of its resources, and the devastation of human wars.
So if the God of the universe is that interested in not wasting anything and making sure that we're protecting the earth, why is he directing his organization to buy and sell property that is completely unnecessary? To say, oh, I need this, our regional translation office for sign language in Florida, in this nice part of town. And a little while later, actually, just kidding, we don't really need that, sold. Why is he saying, oh, we really need to update the branch office here in this country? And then they sell that and they move it and it houses 6 more people. Yeah, we really needed it to house 6 more people. Don't you think the God of the universe might instruct his organization to be a little bit more frugal, to be a little bit more nuanced when it comes to how they're destroying the earth quite literally by just buying property. Something to think about.
So then, what about the people? Does Jehovah's disgust at the ruining of the earth apply to the ruining of mankind as well? Yes. We can see this in what is stated at Genesis chapter 6 and verses 11 and 12. But the earth had become ruined in the sight of the true God, and the earth was filled with violence. Yes, God looked upon the earth, and it was ruined. All flesh had ruined its way on the earth. Do you see the connection? Rather than speaking of just the planet, the scriptures here link the ruining of all flesh or people with the ruining of the earth. Likewise, today, just as mankind is harming the actual planet, the world under Satan's control is also ruining all flesh. In both ways, the earth is being ruined. How so? Along with false religion, human society in general is gradually corrupting everything that Jehovah has set in place for mankind. We see it in their incessant nationalistic wars. We see it in their racial hatred and divisiveness. We see it in their promoting of abortion. We see it in their so-called gay marriage. We see it in the gender blurring that the world is promoting. You don't have to be a man or a woman, they say. You can be whatever you feel like or choose to be. Really?
Wow. So there's that. I guess we'll just unpack these one by one. Nationalistic wars and their racial hatred. I mean, a lot of the wars around the world throughout history can be attributed to religion, and Watchtower is a religion, so as far as racism goes, I mean, that's sure cute and rich coming from a American religion that's predominantly run by white American men. Yeah, absolutely. That's, yep, you guys should be the poster child of equality. Yeah, no problems with the equality in Watchtower whatsoever. And then he says so-called gay marriage. Now, for those of you that might be wondering why he's calling it so-called, well, in this guy's mind, marriage, it can only be a biblical marriage. And by a biblical marriage, that means a marriage that Jehovah's Witnesses approve, and that ultimately him and his buddies approve of. So that's why he uses this sort of sneering so-called gay marriage. I don't understand the derogatory tone. What do two guys that love and care about each other and want to have a legal marriage, what harm does that do to Kenneth Cook and his buddies? Like, what massive atrocity has fallen under Watchtower because of them wanting to get a legal marriage that makes them want to say it in this derogatory, sneering way? Why do they feel so offended by someone that doesn't care about Watchtower at all, doesn't think about Watchtower, hasn't heard about Watchtower, doesn't want anything to do with Watchtower? Why does Watchtower want to look at that person and use their platform that they have to just talk in this derogatory way? Oh yeah, their so-called marriage, it's polluting the earth. Oh my God, that's just pollution. You guys and your marriage is literally polluting the earth. It's disgusting. God hate, like, all of this language. It's so horrible. And for what? Like, what? Again, what have they done? I don't know. Okay, I'm now distracted. I need to listen again. What was the last thing he said? Again, no one is doing something specifically to break Watchtower's back or pick their pocket. So why do they care? Watchtower, I'm asking you a genuine question. Leave people alone. They're not doing anything to you. They're not hurting you. They don't have any influence over you. They're doing nothing harmful to anyone. So why call them poison, ruinous, whatever crappy thing he said? Why do that? What's in it for you? What do you gain by putting people down or contextualizing their existence as ruining the earth? The problem is not with how someone wants to identify. The problem is with you. Watchtower, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, like, if let's just play it out. If you think, well, they're going to get destroyed at Armageddon in the very near future anyway, then what's the point of, like, beating them when they're going to get blasted at Armageddon anyway? You don't have anything to gain from that. You're just using your platform for this hate speech. And that's what you want to, Kenneth Cook, when you give this talk, that's what you want to be remembered for. So far, you've been one of the most unremarkable governing body members I think we've ever seen. And now, trust me, you are very remarkable. You are going to be remembered as that religious leader that looked at the LGBTQ community and said, look at that trash. Look at that garbage that's ruining the earth. That's what you're going to be remembered for, Mr. Cook.
What does Jehovah say about that? At Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5, he told the nation of Israel that, quote, a woman must not put on the clothing of a man, nor should a man wear the clothing of a woman, for anyone doing so is detestable to Jehovah your God. If that is how the Creator feels about the switching of clothing, how much more detestable he must view the world's attempts to blur the lines of gender with false labeling. Recently, the World Health Organization adjusted its view of gender. It now states that, quote, there are many genders existing on a spectrum from male to female. It added that gender identity exists on a continuum, and that sex is not limited to male or female. Again, really?
Yes, really. You horrible, horrible person. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your mind? You just read a book and said, well, this is how this God feels about it, about clothing. Okay, cool. That's amazing. He feels that way about clothing. You turn a few pages in that same book and it tells you that you can own other human beings. And not only that you can own them, that it's okay to beat them as long as they don't die within a few days. So now, you turn to a book that says it's slavery. Violent slavery is okay, and that is your moral compass that you are going to use to call other people trash? I'm trying not to swear on this channel, but you are the trash if you are the one that is going to look at the world through that kind of lens. If you are going to shut off your brain and say a book that endorses and preaches slavery should be looked on when it comes to questions about identity, we should look back to this old book that condones slavery. The killing of children. Yep, that's the book. The book that says it was okay to kill babies? We need to look to that in 2023. Stop talking. I feel bad for even playing these clips. This is awful.
Talk about an attempt to tear apart what Jehovah has made. So then even government agencies on a global scale are getting involved, and they are critical of anyone who does not adopt their warped view. At Proverbs 19, verse 3, it explains, "It is a man's own foolishness that distorts his way, and his heart becomes enraged against Jehovah." And going back to marriage, Jehovah instituted the arrangement to be a permanent bond between a man and a woman. At Matthew 19, verses 4 and 5, we read how Jesus emphasized this while he was on the earth. Quoting from Genesis 2:24, he said this, "Have you not read that the one who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, 'For this reason a man will leave his father and his mother and will stick to his wife, and the two will be one flesh'?" He made them male and female, and the two will be one flesh. Jehovah's purpose for humans is clear, but Satan's world now says that marriage can be between two men or two women. Again, really? We can be certain that promoting this corrupt view is part of Satan's attempt to ruin mankind, to make them so abhorrent to Jehovah that he would abandon humans and his purpose for mankind in the earth.
What he's suggesting here is that unless you are a straight man and a straight woman, you are so abhorrent to God that he would consider not going through with his plans, his ultimate goal of bringing about the paradise earth. Unless you are a straight man or a straight woman, Satan is using you in an attempt which, if he's bringing this up, I thought nothing could, change God's plans or anything like that. So it doesn't even make any logical sense why you'd make this argument, because if God's plans can't be changed, then it's a moot point. You're like, well, they can't try to, like, oh, I'm going to push Mount Everest over. You'd be like, okay, weirdo. You wouldn't take it seriously, but he is speaking very seriously. I just can't believe the level that he's going to suggest that humans could have such an effect on God, to suggest that someone that is not a straight man or a straight woman could have such an effect. He looks down with such disgust. He says, you know what? Paradise Earth, 144,000. Nah, look at those two happy people trying to get married. Nah, I don't want that. He has come from downtown. I know I already said it, but he has been consistently like the most skippable governing body member to date. And now he has come out of the woodwork. His voice is cracking. He seems nervous. He's trying to elevate his speech. This is horrible. This is really bad. But I guess maybe we can share this video with some local journalists. I bet they would like to hear about the sort of language that the Watchtower uses, and maybe they would be a little more hesitant to write these happy little puff pieces about Jehovah's Witnesses are going preaching again. There's going to be an assembly or a convention. Maybe they would like to hear this talk before they go and bring any praise to Jehovah's Witnesses. So, just going to throw that out there. And I almost forgot to mention it. He says that God instituted the marriage arrangement and it was for one man and one woman. And then this God that apparently can change his plans did change his plans and said, well, it can be with one man and as many women as you can afford. Part of God's law that this douchebag is referring to. So God didn't institute it knowing it was one man and one woman. He instituted it knowing he was going to change it, and then maybe perhaps kind of sort of changing it back. Again, why would anyone take this guy seriously?
But that will never happen. God's purpose for mankind and their home will be fulfilled. Just like the disgusting names of the false gods that humans have given to the literal planets, the false labeling of humankind and the immorality will not continue. For his own name's sake, and for those who love him, Jehovah will bring to ruin those ruining the earth.
With a slight smile on his face, this man has told the entire world, if you are gay, you are going to die. You're an abomination. No matter how hard you might be trying to mess with God, because we know that's exactly what's happening when two people that love each other want to get married. What they're really doing is just trying to, flip God off and change and alter his plans. That has to be one of the worst talks I have ever heard from Watchtower, ever. I don't know what he says during the rest of this, but it's getting a little bit tired. I'm getting a little bit tired. It's getting a little bit late. So I'm going to cut it off there. If there's more, then we'll have a part 2. But yeah, this is horrible. Go to jw.org, clip out this talk, send it to any reporters that you might know, email it to any local news stations, anything. Let them know about this. So that way when the Jehovah's Witnesses go with their little PR campaigns, they can hear this guy talk about, yeah, we've already heard it, so I don't need to go on it again. I'm a little bit lost for words, to be completely honest. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye.